Hey guys, so this year I decided to get back into my reading routine and I set a goal of 40, hoping I would reach it, and I'm happy to say I got to 58. And also, if you haven't been able to reach your reading goal or you haven't gotten the chance to read, keep in mind I have not been able to read this much for years, so it's no big deal. Yeah, I'm very excited about that, and in honor, I'm going to feature my favorite books of the year. So in this list, these are all 4 stars or above, and one got 5 stars. So if you want to see which book got 5 stars, stick to the end. Okay, we got 6 books to get through. Let's get started. As drum roll, please. Lunar Chronicles, aka Cress. So basically, I picked Cress because that was my favorite out of the entire series. You know, all the books are great. I enjoyed the entire series. So basically, these stories are a sci-fi retelling of classic fairy tales. It starts off with Cinderella, aka Cinder. She's like a cyborg who winds up meeting the prince, while also trying to figure out how to deal with an evil queen. I know there's a lot going on. And these books are so much fun. I think it does an amazing job at making it sci-fi and changing up the story a little bit so that there's like suspense to it and you don't know exactly what's gonna happen. And then it also does a really good job preserving the original romances that we know and love. Like, it doesn't try to like destroy the romance because it doesn't fit in the modern world. Like, it just fixes it so that it's more socially acceptable and not like creepy, aka what happened with Snow White and the Prince in the original. So yeah, it makes it a bit more relevant to the modern world while also keeping the romances that we know and love, which is great. I've enjoyed the entire series and I finished it a week. I'd highly recommend it. Okay, our next book is more of a social impact book, and that is The Kite Runner. So this book has a lot of meaning to it. It shows how like places that people know and love get damaged, and then they're forced to move away in hopes of a new life, which is quite tragic and very realistic. So in this book, basically, there's a boy named Amir, and after some political uprisings in Afghanistan, his home country, he's forced to move to the U.S., and that's his whole journey. And then it shows him going there, and then him slowly reconnecting with his old childhood. So the one reason why this story has a lot of impact is it does a great job of showing the complexity of these situations. Like a lot of people who like immigrate, it looks like, especially on the news, oh, they lived in such a bad country. There was nothing good in that place. It was trash, so of course they had to leave. And like that's not true at all. People love their home countries, and there's a lot of beauty in these places that tragically gets forgotten when awful things happen there. And it's really sad for these people to have to leave their home, especially when they have so many beautiful memories associated with it. It does a great job showing that, especially because like the writing is really nice. Like there's so much vivid imagery that really connects you to like this childhood that the boy had in Afghanistan, and that's really nice. And I will say, if you're reading this book, you probably won't like the main character in the first couple chapters. I hated him too, and it's very good reason. He's not very likable at all. I promise you, like, over the story, he does manage to redeem himself. Just pull through it. Okay, on to the next one. And that is Skyward. So I just love this cover. Maybe because it's purple and I'm very biased toward purple, but there's something very ethereal about it. I don't know. So, yeah. I love the cover. You know, interesting story with this book. This thing has been on my TBR for like 3 years. And at one point I saw this for a good price at Barnes & Noble. I'm like, enough with this. I have to finally read this book. So I bought it. Totally worth it though. So this book is a sci-fi about a girl named Spencer, And she's trying to become a pilot so that she can fight these evil aliens called the Crow. They're attacking the planet that she's living on. Now, unfortunately, she's got like a past where she's not supposed to be able to fly, so she's trying to fight through that and trying to fight the Crow as well. Like, this is just a very fun book. Like, the characters are hilarious. I love the dialogue. And there's also like a ship that she has that is also very, very funny. I enjoyed the whole thing, listening to sci-fi music, like interstellar stuff. It's just so much fun. Okay, this next book is a book that I did not expect to be on this list at all. And that is Verity by Colleen Hoover. Before anyone bashes me, hear me out, okay? I know that Colleen Hoover creates a lot of very questionable romances that are often filled with toxic characters. Well, I can definitely see why, because this book has it. But that actually works really well for this. Because it's a story that's supposed to have very untrustworthy characters that make you question whether you're hearing the truth or not. So it makes sense that they are untrustworthy and toxic. Now, as for her other books, I don't know. And I will say this book is not for everyone. There's a lot of graphic scenes that will probably mess you up if you're not into those. A warning. Now, for people who do like things that get in their head, let's continue. So in this book, you meet this writer named Lowen, who has this opportunity to ghostwrite for another writer named Verity, who's unfortunately gotten into a terrible accident and she can no longer write her books. So Verity's husband invites Lowen over to his house so that she can look over Verity's like work and stuff and start writing the new book for her series. So Lowen looks through all the stuff. And then she finds a very questionable manuscript. This manuscript has some dark secrets about Verity that really are very concerning. And Lowen doesn't know what to do. She's very conflicted as to whether to reveal this to the husband or keep it a secret. And the really interesting part about this book is that there's three characters, right? Like the husband, Lowen, and then Verity. And nobody's very trustworthy at all. So when Lowen is telling you about what she's seeing and doing, you can't necessarily trust what she says. The husband claims he doesn't know anything, but you can't trust him either. And Verity herself is a writer who's very good at lying. So is her manuscript even real? So there's a lot of conflicting voices as to what really happened. And it really messes with you. Everyone is so disturbed. Like after I read this book, I was trying to sort out what really happened with all the characters and like who knew what. It was just such a mind jumble. It really gets in your head. I will say that does make for a very good psychological thriller. Good job, Colleen Hoover. Okay, let's move on. Next up, we got a comic, and that is Watchman. Now, this book really had an impact on me. I would arguably say that if you're a comic lover, this book is must read. Definitely read it at some point in your life. Like, it has so much impact. And I can't really go too much into detail because then we'll give a lot of spoilers. So I'll just say, like, basically what happens is this series takes place in an alternate universe with superheroes who are helping out the army. And with the superheroes' help, the US is able to win the Vietnam War. And this profoundly changed the political landscape of the world. And years after that happened, the superheroes are forced to come together again and solve a mystery regarding a fellow superhero's death. So it starts off as an interesting mystery. I was intrigued. Nothing mind-blowing. Well, man, once I read to the end, that really got to me. Like, there's so many deep impacts about how it can be very dangerous to have, like, great power over other people, like these guys do. And there's also some stuff that really makes you lose a lot of faith in humanity. Like, it shows you just how dangerous people can really be. It's so good, but it really gets to you. Again, that's all I'm gonna say. Go read this. List is the 5-star book, and that is Vicious. Vicious is like a very cool superhero story or supervillain, and it's kind of similar to Death Note, where there's characters that are very morally gray, which makes it all the more interesting because you're constantly fighting about whose side you're on. So in the story, there's basically two students who are in college. Now one of them discovers how you can get superpowers, and they're forever changed by that. One of them ends up in jail, and the other one ends up becoming a superhero for the police. And once they discover each other out in the world, they are ready to destroy each other after what happened to them many years ago. Now, the really intriguing about this part is just how morally great both of them are. And they both claim that they're fighting for the betterment of society, but they all do very questionable things. So I was intrigued by both of them. And the best part is also that there's a bunch of characters on the side who are adding a lot to the story. They're so cool. And it's just such a fun adventure. I breezed through all of it, constantly fighting over whose side to pick. Such a fun supervillain / superhero story. All for the books. So those are my top books of the year. Comment down below which ones are yours. And if you want me to do a book featuring the worst books of the year, I can do that too. So let me know. Alright, see you.